Hey, I've been thinking about saving money, like putting $100 a month into something called the S&P 500. But what even is that? It sounds kind of fancy and scary for someone my age.
That's a great place to start. Curiosity like yours is how we build real smarts about money. The S&P 500 isn't some secret club. It's basically a big basket holding stocks from 500 of the top companies in the U.S. Think Apple, Microsoft, or Amazon. The ones that make the phones we use every day or the shows we binge watch. It's like owning a tiny slice of all those winners together without picking just one.
A basket of stocks. Okay, that makes it less confusing. But stocks, aren't they super risky, like you could lose everything overnight? I'm only 16. I don't want to mess up my future.
I get that worry. It's totally normal, especially when movies make investing look like a casino. But here's the thing. The S&P 500 spreads out that risk. Instead of betting on one company that might flop, you're in on 500 of them across different industries like tech, health, and energy. It's called diversification, which just means not putting all your eggs in one basket. If one sector dips, others might lift it up. Historically, it's been a steady way for regular folks to grow money over time. Way better than letting cash sit in a piggy bank gathering dust.
Diversification, yeah, that sounds smarter than picking favorites. So why would I choose this over, say, a savings account? Isn't that safer?
Savings accounts are safe, sure, like a cozy blanket on a cold day. But they barely grow because interest rates are so low right now, maybe 1 or 2% a year if you're lucky. The S&P 500 has averaged around 10% growth annually over decades, turning small investments into real wealth. Remember my cousin? He started tossing $50 a month into an S&P fund in his early 20s. Nothing fancy, just automatic deposits. By 40, it had ballooned enough to help buy his first house. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about time and consistency making the magic happen. No need to be a stock expert. Index funds let you ride the whole market's way.
Your cousin's story is cool, makes it feel real. So it's like a team effort, with big companies pulling the weight?
Exactly. You're not the coach calling plays. You're a fan cheering for the whole league. It tracks the broad U.S. market, so as the economy grows, new inventions, more jobs, your share grows too. Beginners love it because it's simple. Low fees, no daily watching needed. Just set it and forget it while life happens.
All right, I'm tracking. But does it really grow enough to matter over time, like with my $100 a month?
Oh, it absolutely can matter. Let's dive into the numbers to see why. Historically, the S&P 500 has delivered about a 10% average annual return since it started tracking in 1957. That's not just from stock prices going up. It includes dividends, which are like little bonuses companies pay out to shareholders, adding extra juice to your growth.
10% a year? That sounds pretty solid, but I've heard people say past stuff doesn't guarantee the future. Like, what if the market tanks right when I need the money?
You're spot on to question that. No one has a crystal ball. And yeah, there have been rough patches like the 2008 crash or the dot-com bust in 2000. But here's the key. Over long stretches, like 20, 30, or 50 years, the market has always bounced back stronger. Think of it like a bumpy road trip. The car might swerve or hit potholes, but if you keep driving steadily toward a big destination, you end up miles ahead. That 10% is an average pulled from real data, ups during booms, downs in recessions. But the overall trend climbs because the U.S. economy keeps innovating and expanding.
Bumpy road trip. Got it. So, including those dividends, it's not just hoping for luck.
Exactly. Dividends make it more reliable. Big companies in the S&P, like Coca-Cola or Johnson & Johnson, have paid them consistently for decades, even through tough times. It's like getting paid to hold the ticket while the ride goes on. Data from 1957 to now shows that if you'd invested a lump sum at the start, it'd be worth over 100 times more today, adjusted for splits and all. But for someone your age, starting small, it's even more powerful because time smooths out those bumps.
Whoa, 100 times? That's wild. But averaging 10%, is that before or after inflation eats some away?
Good catch. Inflation does nibble, averaging about 3% a year. So your real purchasing power growth is closer to 7%. Still, that's huge compared to a bank account's 0.5%, or whatever they're offering now. My uncle, who retired a few years back, started in the 80s with nothing but a job at a factory. He put in what he could monthly into an S&P index fund, riding through the 87 crash and the 2000s mess. By retirement, it wasn't millions, but enough to travel and not worry about bills. The history isn't a promise, but it's evidence that patience pays off way more than fear.
Your uncle's story helps. Makes the averages feel less like math homework. So, if it's average 10%, how does that play out with regular deposits, like my $100 a month?
It turns steady drops into a snowball effect, where each month's money starts earning right away and builds on the last.
Snowball effect? Like rolling a tiny ball of snow downhill that gets bigger and bigger? But how does that actually work with my $100 each month?
You've nailed the image. Compounding is exactly that snowball, starting small, but picking up speed and size as it goes. Let's break it down without the math overload. Imagine you drop $100 into the S&P 500 this month. Over the year, it might grow by that average 10%, turning into $110. Next month, you add another 100, but now both chunks start growing together. The new 100 earns on its own, and the old 110 earns even more because it's earning on the extra 10 too. It's like your money's working overtime, hiring helpers to make more money.
Earning on the earnings. Okay, that's starting to click. But what if the market's down some months? Does this...
Smart question. Yeah, markets dip. But that's where another trick called dollar cost averaging saves the day. You keep putting in that fixed $100 no matter what. When prices are low, like during a slump, your $100 buys more shares. Say the index drops 10%. You snag extra pieces at a discount. Then when it climbs back up, those bargain shares grow even faster. It's like shopping for clothes on sale. You get more for your buck, and over time, it evens out the bumps. No timing the market perfectly. Just steady investing smooths the ride.
Dollar cost averaging, buying more when it's cheap. That sounds less scary than trying to guess highs and lows. Like, my friend tried day trading apps and lost a bunch quick.
Exactly. Your friend's story is common. Chasing hot tips is like surfing giant waves without lessons. But with monthly deposits into the S&P, you're building steadily, letting compounding do the heavy lifting over decades. Picture this. My sister started in her late teens, just $50 a month into an index fund. Early on, it grew slow, like a kid learning to walk. But by her 30s, after 15 years, that pot was earning almost as much in a year from growth alone as her original monthly ads. Compounding kicked in hard because time let the interest pile on interest, year after year. No big risks, just patience turning drops into a river of growth.
Your sister's example makes it feel doable. So, it's not just the $100 adding up. It's each one multiplying over time, especially with those low price buys balancing things.
You got it, it's multiplicative magic. Early investments have the longest runway to compound, like planting seeds that grow into trees, then forests. And with the S&P's track record, that steady 10% average, or 7% after inflation, means your money works for you, not the other way around. Over 50 years, it's not abstract. It's real families funding college or retirements this way. But to really see the power, we should crunch what your $100 monthly could turn into after all that time rolling downhill.
Yeah, I'm curious now. What kind of snowball are we talking for 50 years?
All right, let's roll out that snowball and see its full size after 50 years of steady $100 monthly drops into the S&P 500. We're talking a future value calculation basically a math tool that factors in regular additions plus that compounding growth. Using the historical average of 10% annual return without dipping into fancy spreadsheets, it comes out to around $1.2 million. Yeah, you heard that right. Over $1 million from what totals just $60,000 in your own deposits over those decades.
$1 million from $100 a month? That's insane. How does the math even work without me having to be a genius at it?
No genius needed. It's all about the formula letting time do the heavy math. Each $100 gets invested and starts compounding immediately. And since you're adding every month, it's like layering snow on that ball as it rolls. But let's be real. Life isn't perfect, so we should dial it back for a safer estimate. After subtracting about 3% for inflation, that real growth lands at 7% annually. At that rate, your pot swells to roughly $450,000 in today's buying power. Still massive, right? In fees, low-cost index funds charge like 0.05% a year. Peanuts compared to what your money earns. So it barely dents the total.
Inflation and fees. Yeah, I was wondering if those would eat it all up. But $450,000 after 50 years? That's like enough for a house down payment or starting a business.
Spot on. And crashes? We've touched on them. But in the long haul, they don't wipe out the progress. The formula assumes average ups and downs, and history shows that even starting right before a big dip, like in 2007, you'd still end up way ahead by year 50 because the market recovers and compounds harder afterward. My dad did something similar. Began with $75 monthly in the 70s through oil shocks and recessions. He ignored the noise, kept at it, and by retirement, it covered his grandkids' college funds without touching his pension. No crystal ball, but this projection beats stuffing cash under the mattress.
Your dad's real-life run through tough times makes the numbers stick. So, compared to a bank, where would $100 a month land me?
Great pivot. Let's compare apples to oranges, or rather, stocks to savings. At a typical bank rate of 1 to 2% with compounding, your $60,000 deposits would grow to maybe $90,000 after 50 years. Safe? Sure. But that $450,000 from the S&P blows it away, turning modest habits into serious security. It's why folks your age starting now could retire comfortably, not scraping by. The key? Automated through a retirement account, like a Roth IRA. Tax perks make the snowball even bigger.
Roth IRA. Sounds like a smart wrapper for it. Okay, so this isn't just theory. It's a path to real freedom if I stick with it.
You've got the full picture now. Start in small with the S&P, build something unstoppable over time. Imagine looking back at 66, seeing that $1 million nest egg funding adventures or family dreams, all from choices made today. It's empowering, isn't it?